Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salam and welcome to another session of Spiritual Saturday. As we just had the birth anniversary of Lady Fatima in this week, I thought it would be a very good idea that we talk about one of the most important legacies of Lady Fatima, which unfortunately has not been enough taken into consideration by us. It is almost, I can say, the concern she had, the worry she had, has not been addressed by most Muslims, almost all of us, with the exception of a tiny minority who have tried to keep her message and legacy alive. Any opportunity I get to speak about Lady Fatima, whether it is on the Ayyam Fatimiyya or her Welada, I try to talk about this legacy from a different angle. Just the last few days, 3 weeks ago, I think, in Ayyam Fatimiyya, I spoke about it from a different angle. Now, tonight, I want to address the same concern, but from a new perspective. And the reason for this, I think, is that this topic of tonight is actually one of the main roots of most problems we have as Muslims and religious people. Lady Fatima had told us that you are going to, if you're not careful, face a challenge, and we were not careful. We faced the challenge and we're still not careful. So let's see, what is this topic? Unfortunately, for many people, Lady Fatima is limited to a few concepts. Her modesty, a few events about the history of her life. And I'm not saying that any of these are not important, but to limit such a great personality to a few concepts like modesty and some events in her life is such an injustice that we are doing to her. Imagine, in terms of spirituality, Lady Fatima is very high. Lady Fatima, we can say, is at the peak of spirituality. And unfortunately for us, the word even spirituality doesn't mean much. So even when you hear that Lady Fatima is at the peak of spirituality, like, what does that mean? She's a good person? Okay, who's a good person? I don't know, she's modest? No, there are levels. And one of the problems we have is this: we have not seen a proper, right, true follower of prophets and Ahl Bayt for such a long time that our understanding even of what levels are possible for a human beings have become so low. We look at some person, prays a little bit, fast, memorize the Quran, whatnot. Oh, mashallah, what an amazing soul. Look at that taqwa. These are so low in terms of, not that these are not good, these are great. But there are so many levels that this is not even alphabet when it comes to the levels, for example, Lady Fatima has. Slowly this year, I'm trying to open up, tell people that, guys, you are limiting your role models. You are really limiting your role models. You know, it's like having the best, imagine there is a person who has a very great scientist as their role model. So they have got it right. They've chosen the right person. Who's your role model? I don't know. For example, Albert Einstein. Wow. Perfect choice. You chose a very good, smart individual as your role model. Okay, what inspires you about Albert Einstein? His suit. I love the colors of his suit. Not that there's anything wrong with Albert Einstein's suit, but there's much more there that you can benefit from him, right? You got the role model very correctly, but you got stuck into like really low stuff. Or like, oh, I love the way his hair is all over the place. Oh, I'm a scientist. I'm too smart to care about my hair. Look, I'm loving that. Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. But there's much more there, right? This is the mistake we're making when it comes to Ahl Bayt. We say we love them. Very good. What do you love about them? They're good people, and the modesty and the honesty. These things are available in so many places. Honesty is not that high of a level. I know when you look around us, there are not really that many honest people. So even honesty seems like wow. But these are not the highest things that the Ahl Bayt had. As I always tell people that not just in their lifetime, but even till now, Ahl Bayt have been really, really not taken seriously. It breaks my heart. At his time, Imam Ali has been reported to have said many times, God, guys, gals, dudes, dudettes, I have so much knowledge here. I know the ways of the sky more than the ways of the earth. Come ask me. Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. Saluni. I said that with Arabic with American accent. Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. So Imam said, ask me. Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. Ask me before you lose me. But what would people go and ask? Silly questions. Has that changed? No. Honestly, look at our current state right now and ask most people, what if you saw Imam Ali? What would you ask him? What is the name of the children of Imam Zaman? Okay, I'm not saying that's a bad question. So good, you're curious, you want to know that. But tomorrow, when you go out, a temptation hits you. What are you going to say to that temptation? At night, when that intrusive thoughts attacks you, you're stuck with your anxiety. What are you going to tell your anxiety? You're going to say, or I don't know, when Shaitan comes towards you and tries to make you sad, tries to make you low, you say, Shaitan, sit down. You must not know. Let me tell you the names of the children of Imam Zaman. Oh, if you only know that, you wouldn't be Shaitan anymore. That's good information, but now, there were at the time of Imam Ali some people who were different, like Kumail is an example of that. Kumail was an individual who would go to the Imam, ask a question. Imam, for example, I want to know this. Teach me this thing. For example, what is the truth of Ubudiyya? Or what is this? What is that? Imam usually had a filter. I'll say why Imam had a filter. He wanted to see how serious you are. So initially he would say, no, it's not. To see if the person really wants it. Many people would say, oh no, you're not teaching me? Okay, goodbye. That's even the few who would go and ask. Many wouldn't even ask. Amongst those who would ask, some would insist. Like Kumail insisted a number of times. And Imam taught him and taught him and taught him. Like for example, one example of things Imam taught Kumail is this dua Kumail that we're so fascinated by, right? This dua that every week we read and most of us don't know what we're saying, but still we're so in love with it. It was an example of one small thing Imam gave to Kumail. Now, Kumail at some point goes to the Imam and says, either Kumail or one of the other companions, says, I am your special companion. Can you teach me another thing as well? Because you and me, Imam Ali, were best friends, aren't we? And then Imam tells that person something, either it was Kumail or another one of the companions. He says, what I gave you, what I shared with you, if you have a pot of food, and from that pot of food sometimes water evaporates and comes out, it's just like a drop of water that evaporated and then was then formed again at the top of the container. It came out. That's how much I gave you. There's way more in that pot. And Imam even mentions, he says, I have so much knowledge I want to share, but I have a few concerns. I know with some people, they can't take it. They don't have the sharpness of mind. With some, I'm worried if I give it to them, they may use it just to become famous. There is so much there. And my question is, why are we not curious to find out what these things are? Right? So, this was all, by the way, a way of introduction. Ahl Bayt, Imam Ali, Lady Fatima, these are not small figures. The way we treat them, no matter how much we, make noise, deep down in our attitude towards them, it shows that we don't have that belief, even if it's subconsciously, that like we can go to them with curiosity to gain answers to change our life and like really live a different life. And this, by the way, I'm not judging us. There's historical reasons why we're in this mess. But this has got us to this place where we have even forgotten what it means to be a Muslim, what it means to be a follower of Ahl Bayt. And this was Lady Fatima's concern that she talked about in the most important speech she gave. Now we're going to start talking about Lady Fatima's legacy. One of the things she had picked up very early on, and just shows the vision Lady had. Incredible vision. It's almost like she could see all the way into future and look at the mess we are in right now and warn us about it. A warning, a caution that has been, in the books of history and in the years, and no one has taken it seriously. Not anyone, a few people, but as soon as they come and share it with people, the same people who need this warning push them away. And there's a high chance as well that tonight you may want to push me away, but you'll do it at your own peril, Lady Fatima is the first Muslim who warned Muslims about the risk of the religion becoming a shallow, superficial religion that is stuck at the level of appearances and forms. This usually with any religion, this was not just exclusive to Islam. It happened to so many religions before us as well. One of the main ways a religion can go down and stop its power, its dynamic nature, its life force, its life-changing abilities can be wasted is when its core, its essence, its meaning is lost, and what's left of it is the appearance. Once this goes on for a while, even people's alert system becomes pathologized. Instead of their alert system being sensitive to the essence of religion, it becomes sensitive to the forms and appearances, which are way less important, although they are still important. And she warned us in one important speech she gives. The core message she puts out there is this: Muslims, I am seeing this, that for you religion is turning into a series of actions and you have forgotten what it means to be a Muslim. In few years, all will be left of you is you'll just do things, but the person you are has no link to the person that Prophet wanted you to be, or Prophet he himself was. And now, for us, it's so difficult to understand this. Why? Because the person Prophet was has been limited for us to the appearances again. And so, even when we want to listen to this message, we have almost lost the ability to even understand what Lady Fatima says. Lady Fatima says, guys and girls, or gals, although guys, I've heard it's a general term, folks. She says, the core of religion is that heart needs to change, that soul needs to see God, hear God, change all of that. Then this will also show itself in certain actions. Even the Quran says that إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفعه. But what we have done, we have completely forgotten that, and we're stuck at the level of just actions, appearances. What's a Muslim country? Ask any person. Well, a country in which there's no alcohol, people pray, and there's Quran, Azan. If there's a lot of Azan, Muslim country. Lady Fatima would say, no. That has nothing to do with Islam. Not that it has nothing to do with Islam, but that is not an Islamic country. That's just an appearance. Now, if the essence is there, it's Islamic. If the essence is not, no, it's not. It's not an Islamic country. That's just a banner, an empty banner. It's like a restaurant just with the sign of a restaurant. Imagine you're passing a street and there's a big store with a sign outside, amazing food. You go inside and it's empty. At some point you realize this is not a restaurant. There's just a sign there. The restaurant is a place they give you food. And so if there's Azan, is a sign. If you go into that mosque and you see people with good souls, that is an Islamic place. But if you go there and you don't see any signs of a Muslim heart, a faithful heart, that's just a sign with an empty sign. For us, it's so difficult. We're so used to a Muslim being someone who just has the appearances that we can't even fathom what else is there. So I thought, let's read together. There's this beautiful narration in Bihar al-Anwar in which the Prophet is telling Imam Ali about some of the qualities. By the way, these are not some high qualities, This is just like normal for every mu'min. We're not even talking about high-level people. This is just some things that every faithful person should have. That like the basics. Let's read a few of these together, if you agree, and then we can see where are we. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kathiran ilmuh. The Prophet says, Ya Ali, min sifat al-mu'min an yakuna. From the qualities of a believer is that they should be, or they are, what? Kathiran ilmuh. A lot of knowledge. And I wish we have ruined almost every word. Now you hear knowledge, you're like, oh, so he knows the history. No, knowledge means something else. Maybe another series we can talk about that. Almost every word in religion, we've managed to ruin it, Please remind me to talk about knowledge another week. But let's go on to the ones which are more understandable. Aziman hilmu. His patience, his hilm, his calmness in difficulties is not good. It's azim, it's grand, it's great. Jamil al-munazi'ah. When there's an argument, this person argues beautifully. Does not cheat, does not hurt, does not raise his voices. And I want you, as you're hearing this, think of, by the way, I'm saying all of this without any judgment, I'm saying this so we start to wake up. But I'm saying, is this how our families are? Is this how our, young couples are arguing in their relationships, parents and mothers, friends? Jamil al-Munaza'a, is it that when two of our couples argue, they're arguing so beautifully? And by the way, I'm not saying these are become like this. No, I'm saying there is a way to become like this. It's not easy to become patient all of a sudden. It's not easy to have these qualities. There's a way. That was Islam. What we have is something else. Let's read a few more of these. I'll try to read them quickly. أَوْسَعُ النَّاسِ صَدْرًا. In that one says, Rabbi shrah li sadri, God expand my chest, which is like metaphor for my, ability, capacity to take in life and things. He says a mu'min should be among people awsa'un nas sadran. Their capacity to take in life should be the biggest than any other person. This is what a believer is. وَأَذَلُّهُمْ نَفْسًا. And despite that, the most humble of people, the strongest with the most capacity to take in life, but at the same time the most humble. لَا يُؤْذِي مَنْ يُؤْذِي. Will never hurt the person who hurts them. وَلَا يَذْكُرُ أَحَدًا بِغِيبَةٍ. Will never backbite behind anyone. كَثِيرُ الْعَطَاء. Gives a lot. قَلِيلُ الْأَذَى. Very little harm he does. Doesn't hurt his family, doesn't hurt his partner, doesn't cause trauma for those cute children, doesn't hurt the neighbors. أَبًا لِلْيَتِيمِ is a parent to the orphans. عَوْنًا لِلْقَرِيبِ is a help for the people who feel strange. بُشْرُهُ بِوَجْهِهِ. There's always joy on his face, on her face or his face. Again, you know what's beautiful about a quality like this? You can't fake it. The beauty of the qualities the Prophet mentions is that you can't fake it. You either have joy or you don't. It's not like Salah. Salah, I could be a terrible person inside and still go and do Salah. Like there is no way just from someone's Salah to know if what's happening in their heart. But some qualities like a joy in their face. It's not easy. We're going through so many work, self-development courses, workshops, this and this, just to feel a little bit peace. So see, the qualities the Prophet is mentioning is saying that, guys, there's a whole nother way of living. That you will have real joy inside. It's so much that it comes and shows itself on your face. And to be honest with you, I don't feel we're living like this. A lot of the times I go to centers and I love people. I'm happy to see them. One of the main things about me is that I love people. But when I go to a center, I'm like, why is no one happy? There's barely anyone with joy on their faces. Life has got us all. You know, after a certain age, the pressures of life, you see people are like this. How are you at? Yeah, how are you? How are you, Sheikh? How are you? By the time they're past 30, 40, everyone's like, oh yeah, can't complain. Alhamdulillah, good. 50, 60, 70. This is not what life should be like. This is Lady Fatima warning us. Guys, if religion becomes a set of acts, you lose it. You think you're a Muslim, you're not. And in order to show you we're not, I'm bringing the qualities Prophet mentioned to Imam Ali as what is a mu'min like. If you follow the path of Prophet, Lady Fatima, Imam Ali, what kind of person do you become? What qualities it helps you have? What features does it give? It's these things that we're saying. بُشْرُهُ فِي وَجْهِهِ. Look at this one. أَحْلَى مِنَ الشَّهْدِ. A Muslim, a mu'min should be sweeter than honey. Not shahd is that syrup. You know that the sweet thing that, for example, comes from some flowers and whatnot. It says, you know, when you sit next to a Muslim, there should be so much internal peace they have. It comes out. Your soul next to their soul feels happy. Why is it that none of us, we have that peace to give each other? If you think about it in terms of the qualities of the heart, Muslims, even Shias, even Sunnis, we are in no way different. Again, generalization, right? To a non-Muslim or to even a person who doesn't believe in God. What does that show? We don't really believe in God. That's what Lady Fatima was saying. Even your belief in God can either be a sentence or real in your heart. She had seen this. She saw this is going to happen to us. That we're going to live as people who don't believe in God, but with a few acts will deceive themselves, trick themselves into thinking they are Muslims, into thinking they are, for example, following the Ahlul Bayt. And it's a very bitter truth to accept, but to me it's not bitter, because to me this shows that yes, life can be much better. A lot of people say, honestly, I hear this a lot from people who are just meeting us early days of meeting us. Like, yeah, well, religion doesn't help you much, if I'm honest with you. And I'm like, yeah, the one you have is not going to help you. The one you have is the one Lady Fatima said it's not going to be helpful. Come, let me tell you, there's more. Let's read a few more. Ahla min ash-shahd. Muslim, you sit next to it, you should feel your heart is in a river of honey. Honestly. Oof. 2-3 people like this in a community, no one in that community will have any issues. The strongest cure for most issues we have is sit next to a soul that has peace inside. Nothing like the internal peace of a soul can help others calm down. Nothing in this world. And if we're all anxious, it's just there's no one among us who is like that. Bring one kumail, not even Ahl Bayt, forget about that. Bring one of their companions. If there was one kumail we could sit next to, you would see what a Muslim is. Just sit next to kumail. He doesn't even need to speak. You feel different. People said, Prophet, we come to you, everything suddenly in life makes sense. We have no question. That's the impact of the soul of the Prophet. And the Prophet says it's not just me. You as well should have that impact on one another. At the same time that he's sweeter than the honey, the next one he says harder than a stone. And nothing can shake him. Seeing them will make you happy. I'm just reading them quickly so that we can get through them. It's a long list of qualities the Prophet mentions. It's such a nice hadith, by the way, for people to have at home. Layyinul janib, I think the pronunciation of the Arabic would be, which means it's so easy to go sit next to them. It's so easy to be, with them. You don't feel like, oh, can I talk to this person? I'm nervous. Nah, they're so welcoming. They're so warm. You feel like, oh, I can go and be with this person. I can approach them. Haliman idha juhila alay. When someone treats them, very ignorantly and whatnot, they're very patient. Saburan ala man asalay. Someone who hurts them, they're very patient. They don't fight back. And again, the good thing, as I said, is that you can only be like this if a miracle happens in your heart. Otherwise, it's not easy. These are the qualities that cannot be faked. Prayer, Quran, Salat, fasting can be faked. Respects the elders, is kind to the young people. Ba'ida min al-khiyanat, does not cheat, does not betray. Kalamuhu ajab. There's always these wonderful words of wisdom, gems of nuggets of wisdom in their words. This is the qualities of every Muslim, by the way. Now you have, for example, people who call themselves scholars. You listen to them, there's nothing there to enjoy. I'm like, yeah, so he says every Muslim should be such that when they talk, like kalamuhu ajab, just words of nuggets of wisdom comes out. That's a normal, ordinary person. Imagine what a scholar should be like. Rafiqan, they're friendly. La la'an, does not curse. Wala kadhab, does not lie. Bah, bah. A lot of communities I go to, they say, Sheikh, here we know we don't do business with Muslims. Why? Oh, the lies they will make. Wala kadhab. Wala sabab, does not swear at other people. Wala hasud, is not jealous. Just pick this one. Wala hasud, is not jealous. Oh, let's say you're jealous right now. Tell me, can you stop being jealous? Try to stop being jealous. Impossible. See, it cannot be faked. To overcome jealousy, some light needs to come in. This is where I'm telling you, Lady Fatima, Imam Ali, the Prophet, these guys have the gems we need in our life. Oh, how can I not be jealous? This is what they can teach us. How can I not be scared? Although even these are just like the alphabets. Like when you're not jealous, when you're not scared, when you're happy. All of this is, then you just start your life. Start your journey. But these are the kind of things we should be at least asking from them. And I'm saying there is solution. There's a whole other way of life. Hashashan, very lenient, very soft. Bashashan, always has a smile on. Wala jassasan, does not keep interfering in other people's life. Oh, did you know Fulani's person, for example, stopped praying or that? Oh, but none of your business. Sit at home, man. يطلب من الأمور أعلاها. They want the highest of everything. من الأخلاق أسناها. The beautiful, most beautiful أخلاق. مؤيدا بتوفيق الله. They know how to live in such way that their action is verified by God, supported by God. This is so beautiful. صبورا في الشدائد. They have such light inside that gives them strength in the hardest of challenges. لا يجوز ولا يعتدي. لا يجور ولا يعتدي. Does not oppress anyone, does not ولا يأتي بما يشتهي. Knows how to handle himself or herself, knows how to overcome their temptations, has a light inside that helps them do that, knows how to handle this physical body they have. إذا قدر عفا. When he has the power, forgives. وإذا وعد وفا. When he makes a promise, he keeps it. لا يرد سائلا. لا يرد سائلا. Never rejects a person who asks. لا يقبل الباطل من صديقه. Does not accept باطل, something that's not true, even if it comes from a friend. And then in the next one it says, and does not reject the truth even if it comes from its enemy. I mentioned this hadith because the Prophet has another hadith with this meaning as well. I mentioned it once. I was like, what? You're saying we should take the truth from enemy? Like, it's the truth. And the Prophet said it. If after 14 centuries you still don't know you should accept the truth, what kind of religion is this? When he's with the people of the world, people whose focus is dunya, he's the smartest of them. When he's with people whose focus is akhirah, he's the most pious of them. So many qualities. I just read a few for you. It's more than 100 qualities. Now, why did I read these for you? And by the way, these are not even high levels of iman. This is just the basic level of iman. To show that this is what Lady Fatima warned us. Guys, this was not the religion my father brought, this thing that you're doing. You have all the signs and the names without any essence, without any of the content. What is that essence, Lady Fatima? We just discussed it. And this is not even, the highest essence. This is just the lowest stuff. And everyone should have this after a few years of being religious. Then they should start allowing the world to reveal its wonders to them, the secrets of the world. Mu'min should become intimate with this world. Let me tell you a beautiful story. There was this Iranian intellectual called Dariush Shaigan. He had, I think his focus was on Buddhist tradition of spirituality and whatnot. At some point, he decides to go back to Iran and try to see what is in our own Islamic tradition. And he's lucky that they recommend, and he manages to connect to Allama Tabatabai, of all people. If he had gone to most other people, he wouldn't have gained much. But he's very lucky. He managed to get connected to Allama Tabatabai. And all of these sentences, I'm saying there's deep meanings behind it, huh? Okay, if he had gone to many other people, he wouldn't have gained much. Anyway, he says, once I think this is what he says. He says, I thought they had regular meetings with Allama. One day he goes and it was the wrong day. And then Allama is like, now that you're here, you don't need to leave. Let's talk or discuss. And he asked a question from Allama. I think he asked about the hereafter, what happens after this life, etc. And he himself narrates that as Allama Tabatabai was talking to me about the hereafter, look, just through his words, he says, I felt the time stopped for me, and I am as if in a complete different state of consciousness. He says the time, the space, everything ceased to be. As Allama was talking, I felt like my soul is elevating. He was telling me about life after death, and I felt like the world around me is changing. And he says that was the moment in which all the things I had read about spirituality, about meaning, I've experienced them. It's like, oh wow, this is soul. This is that life can make sense. This is that there is more. He says, Allama through his words and soul induced this state in me. And then Allama later on explains that, yeah, a muwahhid experiences the world very differently to a person who's not muwahhid. There should, at the end of the day, be a difference between someone who believes in the creator of this world and the one who doesn't, but believe in the right way. Allama says that, yes, once you have that right faith in your heart, the world removes its mask and shows its true self to you. And it's at that point that you realize, wow, so many of the verses of the Quran, what did they mean? God says everything in this world is the signs of God, or everything in this world is glorifying God. To us, this doesn't really make sense. In this world, are you glorifying God, mate? Anyone there? Hello? Hello? What are you mean glorifying God? Why can't we see that? The veils. The universe says, mate, you're not still part of this muwahhidin. Your faith is not real faith. Bring real faith. The same wall will show you that I'm glorifying God. And this is what I call a true religion. And this is the legacy of Lady Fatima. Lady Fatima said, guys, this is what we want from you. This is what we want for you. Your life, your insan. It shouldn't, an insan should not his or her highest ambition be like, can I have one day in which I'm not scared? Can I have one day in which I have peace? These are your birthrights. These are the things you should have easily. Why don't we have it? Because at some point after every religion comes, it takes two paths. One, people go for what is real. One, people live the same life they used to live. They just put a label, the different label on top of it. I remember once I was watching a news report back home, not here in the UK, about some shops who create jeans. They make jeans, jean trousers, but they put, it's made in a small city, let's say in Iran, but they would put another label right on top, and they would say, for example, I don't know, made in Turkey, or made in this other country where, for example, clothes are known to be good. It's made in that small, they would even show it. I remember the journalist went into that small room in someone's, house. They were sitting on the floor, having sunflower seeds, making jeans, and then they would put, made by this designer, for example, brand. This is kind of what we did. Internally, our heart, the same heart as the person before the prophet, does not really see meaning in this world, cannot hear God. There's no joy, there's no peace, does not see much, does not hear much. But on top, there's now a beautiful label, follower of Ahl Bayt. Lady Fatima said, these labels can fool you, but don't fool yourself. Don't let these labels fool you. Look what's internal. Look what's inside. What's inside, I just gave you a list. Now, this is a very simple list. Maybe another time we can go to another list by Imam Ali in which he mentions this higher levels. This was simple levels. To be strongest person, to be the sweetest person, to be able to not have jealousy, to be able to control your temptations. These are just the basic. This is like the basic package that you get for free. The one that you pay, that monthly subscription, comes with so many other features. Maybe you can once go through them from the sermons of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha. Now, just to summarize, what am I saying is that Lady Fatima has a very important legacy. She is a reminder for us that our understanding of religion may not be what the Prophet had in mind. She warned us, and this has happened to every single religion, and it happened to ours too. And now, instead of trying to take her message seriously, we are limiting the lady to such really good stuff, but very low level stuff. The lady, Imam Ali, the Prophet, have so much more to offer. And I know this is a very bitter news, because I'm literally saying that our life was kind of a lie. But the good news there is that the fact that life is difficult, we didn't get here with our best resources. Because that would have been a terrible news. It would have been terrible if the religion we had was the correct religion. Because we even use the correct religion and life is still, I'm so sorry, crap. Most of our suffering, most of our scared relationships are all divorced, our kids are all high, they're and none of them are confident. There's so many, a million problems we're facing. If this religion we had was the best thing that God could send, he had done a terrible job. So it's a great news that there's a whole other thing out there. You know what I'm saying? And in order to start seeing that, the first of all is to accept this message of Lady Fatima. And I think this is the most important legacy. One of the most. There are so many. Lady Fatima has so many dimensions. One of the legacies is this, and I hope inshallah it was a beneficial talk, and I am sharing this only out of love, because who doesn't want to have these qualities? Oh John, you can live such a beautiful life. You can become a person in only a couple of years that you're like, wow, this much greatness in me. Yes. Live the right life with God, see what kind of life is possible for you. And if I had not seen it with my own two eyes, I would not have shared it with you. I will never share with you things that I have not seen. This is all real. Life can be much more better. So, I hope inshallah God enables us to start taking steps towards that beautiful understanding of life, religion, and have these beautiful qualities inside us. Now I'm going to end the session here. For those who are watching on Instagram, we'll start another live session and we can discuss Q&A. If you have any points, I would like to hear it, okay?